Immersed in the profound wisdom of the Shandilya Bhakti Sutras, ancient verses, revered as a pinnacle of devotion and spiritual awareness. Under the guidance of His Holiness Swami Jyotirmayananda, plunge into the infinite ocean of this revered scripture. Discover its hidden truths. Embrace its transformative power. Awaken to new realms of divine love and spiritual awareness. The depths are calling. The deeper you dive, the more treasures you'll discover. And now, Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda.
Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness, and bestower of immortality. And adorations to sage Shandilya. We just completed Narada Bhakti Sutras. Sutras are aphorisms, literally meaning threads. So many ideas are threaded together. There was an ancient style of giving a concentrated tablet. So many potencies and medicines are put together into a little tablet. But a medical student has to read a whole volume to understand all about it. So many ideas are put together in every sutra. The sutra literature may be confined to just 2 or 3 pages. If you don't agree with it, let it 10 pages. The total sutras in Shandilya is 100. Narada was a little more. Sutras can be remembered easily. The idea is very practical. There's always a need for giving spiritual food to your mind. And if you remember these sutras, committing to memory is very easy. So when you sit, relax, let your mind hold on to any particular sutra. Each sutra opens up to many thoughts. So you have led your mind to many ideas, many thoughts. A whole section or a volume of scripture has opened up for you. Therefore, a great deal of philosophical knowledge was imparted to disciples through sutras. As time passes by, these sutras are given to spiritual aspirants by those who have advanced on the path of bhakti. But each guru spices the sutra and explains it in different ways. So many 100 years ago, every sutra was explained in pure Sanskrit. Time passed, sutra is explained with folk language. The old times, similes were very limited, strict similes like snake on the rope. In modern times, there are many more similes. Cinema show, projections on the screen. And then science has provided many other points for understanding the illusory nature of things. Things as they appear to us, they are not real. Without going to further details, Sage Shandilya belongs to the category of Narada. Sage Narada, Vyasa. He existed in the time of Mahabharata, like other sages as well. And he is also a Upanishadic sage. There is Shandilya Vidya that occurs in Chandogya Upanishad. Certain spiritual works are attributed to him, but he is very famous for Shandilya Bhakti Sutras, aphorisms relating to Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion for a spiritual aspirant. Both these sutras by Sage Narada and sutras given by Shandilya, these scriptures are supplementary and complementary. For aspirant, studying both allows the mind to capture the profound knowledge of devotion to God. The first sutra is Athato Bhakti Jignasa. See, just 3 words. Athato, atha. Atha term means commencement. That's a Vedic term. The statement in the scriptures, Omkarascha atha shabdascha dvavetau brahmanah pura kantham hitva viniryatau tena mangalika vibhau. When a great creator emerged, Brahma, 2 words came out of his mouth as if piercing through his throat. Atha and Om. Atha is commencement. Om gives a direction. Godward movement. And therefore, all auspicious activities, according to the Hindu rituals, all auspicious activities are commenced with the utterance of Om and Atha. Even if you forget Atha, Om is there at least. So Atha. Now, the commencement. Atha, therefore, all human beings are constantly striving for 3 points. The Sanskrit term is Sat-Chit-Ananda, existence, knowledge, and bliss. That's the intrinsic urge in every individual, not only in human beings, even in animals and birds. Everyone wants to exist. No one wants to die. And that's quest for Sat, absolute existence. naturally, bodily you can't exist. And you don't have the same body with which you were born. Your body is constantly moving. But irrespective of the transience of the body, your deeper identity is eternal soul. You have lived through many bodies. And in each personality, in each body, two things were very important: to be loved. The moment we are born, we are showered with love and affection. And to love. To be loved in a boundless way. Because the moment you grow up, you are not loved the same way by your mother. She looks at you and asks, "What have you brought for me?" Money, support, and quest for love. That's easy to understand. People enter into loving relations. Some loving relations are very wonderful, ideal. But the question is, how long? Sometimes loving relations stir up even while you are alive. And sometimes they continue until you breathe your last. But then what happens? In every embodiment, you had loving relations. In your next embodiment, you will not be related to the same personalities or same souls. So therefore, everyone had countless relations through many lives. None of the relation has ever given you complete satisfaction. You wanted to be loved in the most perfect way, and you have not found someone who can love you in the absolute way. That someone is not human beings, God. And you are not yourself, just you, a body. You are a spirit. That's how the mind is being led to understand. And you have not satisfied the urge to love. In every embodiment you had children, loving relations. Thousands and thousands of children you have showered your affection upon. But that affection is conditioned, limited. Even animals, they shower their affection on their little young ones. And when the young ones begin to grow, the same mama bird kicks the baby bird out of the nest. Get up beyond your wings. To love and to be loved reaches its absolute fulfillment when your mind turns to God. Until then, you are restless. You don't know what you want. Of all fulfillment, loving fulfillment is the highest. You have lots of wealth. Diamonds are all around you. They are looking at you. They don't love you. You have gained a lot of professional knowledge. Big certificates are hanging on your walls, big titles. They are all glaring at you. They don't love you. Nothing is more substantial, intensive, profound than experience of love. Getting love or giving love. And it can become the ideal attainment if your mind turns to God. But God is not a separate being, an awesome personality who demands from all the souls, love me. Otherwise, look, the thunderbolt in my hand. You are not asked to love God under fear. As generally people say, fear God. That fear term is a misinterpretation of what the scripture really wants to say. God is your innermost self. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Upanishad says, for the sake of the self, all becomes dear. If you examine your mind and ask, what do I really love? And if we explore that process in a very profound way, you realize that all things are loved on the basis of what you are and how things relate to you. So ultimately you are loving you, your own self. Turn to a scripture that gives you consolation, peace. Why do you love this scripture? Because it gives you peace. You. All types of meditations, sadhana you do. For whom? To help God to receive all the praises? For yourself. So, the question is, how can a person fulfill the intrinsic urge to have fulfillment of love? And that's Athato Bhakti Jignasa. This is the inquiry into how to develop bhakti. Bhakti, again, if you analyze, the word bhakti comes from the root bhaj, which means to serve, to worship, to adore, to render loving service. And from that, bhakti term has developed. How to adore God, how to serve God, how to render loving service of God in humanity. All these are implied in the practice of bhakti, devotion. The devotion includes within itself acts of charity, magnanimity, all goodness, compassion. If you love God, good qualities have to develop in your personality. Loving God is like a blossom. Good qualities develop in you, they are like the fragrance emanating from that blossom. How good? Be ye as perfect as the Father in heaven. Ignorant way of thinking. Why should a man dare to become equal to God? Why should a person dare to be as perfect as God? That all religions teach you that you are a ray of God, and as such you have the potentiality to become one with God. All divine qualities are intrinsic in human being. Goodness is your essential nature. Negative qualities develop as artificial attributes that has entered in your personality due to some defect. Anger is not natural. Hate is not natural. Loving personality is natural. Joy is natural. Sorrow is not natural. So if you practice bhakti, you are turning towards your essential nature, which is divine. Now the definition of bhakti. Sa paranurakti Ishware, developing supreme attachment to God. That's called bhakti. That's Shandilya's definition. And Narada's definition was Sa tvasmin parama prema rupa. Bhakti is supreme love in God. That was Narada's definition. Finding supreme love in God. And Shandilya says, developing supreme attachment. The term attachment gives you kind of a poetic understanding. Generally, when you like something, something has given you happiness, you become attached. And if you repeat it again, your attachment grows. In the world, there isn't anything that can continue to give you joy in the same way, the joy that you received at the first sight. It may increase, but it will suddenly begin to wane. It will not stay the same. So therefore, your experience of joy leaves behind impressions of attachment, raga. In worldly attachment, in worldly pursuit of joy, joy wanes, attachment waxes. Let me give you a simpler illustration. Think of happiness is like a bird. And you found that bird, you brought it, you realize it has wings, it can flutter, it can fly, so you have to secure it. So found a cage, put the bird into it. Next day you looked at it. To give more honor and more attention to the bird, also led by little ignorance. Now you change the cage, improve upon the metal of the cage, make a golden cage. You secure it with stronger locks, more high-tech. And while you are busy securing the bird is elusive. Somehow it has run away. It has left a projected picture of itself. Now your life goes on. You constantly feel proud, you have the happiness. But all that your mind is now doing, how to preserve that cage, which is very costly, and you are confused. If you preserve the cage, you will have the happiness under your control. But in reality, all that you have is the cares and anxiety and a stress for holding on to the cage. Every happiness that one experiences has a cage around it. And we become more involved with the cage, happiness moves away. It shouldn't be so. That's only one type of happiness where the more you are attached you are, greater is the happiness. In worldly happiness, the more attached you are, lesser is happiness. But if God became the object of your love, a little glimpse of God, a little touch of God, you did your japa and you felt bright. A little touch. Next day you are attached to your japa, your repetition of mantra. A little prayer and you felt relaxed in your heart. Now, the little happiness that has come, you are not putting a cage around it. Next time, you do more prayer, more japa. More happiness comes, become more attached. This form of attachment that goes on increasing along with the waxing of happiness. And here the happiness waxes on and on to infinite measure. The moon has its limit as it waxes. But divine happiness arising out of love of God waxes on and on. And your attachment grows more and more until, of course, there is not, you and God become absolutely blended. That type of attachment to the Supreme Self, the fact is you are already attached. You are attached to me, the I concept within yourself. And now, as divine attachment blossoms, the illusion of I begins to fade away. And you are profoundly fulfilled. Now let me give you philosophical insight. Think of dream experience, because the world we experience is very similar. There is threefold illusion when you experience your dream. The illusion of the subject. We feel that you are the dream subject. The dream subject is a product of the dream. It is not the subject. And it is illusory. Then you have the world, dream world, universe in your dream. The mountains, the earth, the sky, all that is illusion. The third type of illusion is that you as an individual in the dream world, you are experiencing through your mind and senses pleasant and unpleasant situations. Naturally, all your experiences are illusory. You unreal, the world unreal. Your interacting with the world is bound to be unreal. Now suppose in that world, suddenly there comes into your mind the idea of expanding your love, giving you an allegorical way. And whatever you want to be attached to in the dream world, has no substantiality. But your effort to be attached has a great impact on your mind. You build up tension in your mind, stress in your mind, to hold on to the things of your dream. How many things you have to hold on to? Your personality, the subject. You don't want something to go wrong in the world around you. And you hold on to your pleasant experiences by the senses. Same thing applies in your day-to-day life. You want to hold on to this personality. This personality of yours is constantly changing. You are not the same 10 years ago. I'm trying to give a little understandable period of time. You will not be the same even 5 years later. Who are you? So, firstly, your own understanding of yourself is extremely limited. To love any state of your personality, I love, this is the way I want to be, that will be a tremendous error. That means you are cursing yourself to remain absolutely devoid of growth and devoid of progress. Same way, look at the world around you. Suppose the world at a certain time seems so wonderful. Your idea in your mind, may God make this world stay exactly the same. All constellations exactly in the same place. The sun's situation of the sun exactly in the same. That will be another error. And the third type of security, may I experience this world. May I, in day-to-day life, experience exactly the same way. You are going after threefold illusions. Therefore, after every experience of a happiness, what is left behind is impressions of illusion. Impressions that restrict your mind, do not allow the mind to expand. This is termed as Vishaya Chintan. All the time you are thinking about me, the world. People sit by the TV watching the world. What's going on? Historians studying what was the world 500 years ago. Where are the bones of Columbus? I'm not underestimating all that is wonderful. But overall, the illusion, it's important to understand the distinction between Vishaya Chintan and Ishwar Chintan. When divine love begins to grow and it's awakened in your heart, there commences Ishwar Chintan. Your mind turns to God. Otherwise, mind is constantly steeped in threefold illusion. Illusion about your own self, personality, illusion about the world, and the illusion of pleasure, pain, and varying circumstances that depend upon your sense perceptions. And your mind is constantly thinking of these. And all these are rubbish. All the mental energy fades away because can't secure it. No matter how intense may be your desire to hold on to a dream object, you have to wake up. And even while you are dreaming, nature shows you that it is not going to be permanent. So therefore, even the dream goes on changing. Still it is dream. But there is transience in your dream. Now, I'll just direct your attention to Gita's statement to give you the idea of two ways of directing the mind. One is Vishaya Chintan. Mind just helplessly engrossed with thinking of your personality, thinking of course, your family, your all these are relating to your personality, thinking of the world, and trying to hold on to your senses. You have to have your eyes intact, your ears intact. If eyes are gone, 1/5 of the world is gone. Ears are gone, 2/5 gone. The entire world experience depends upon just little senses. The statement in the Gita, Dhyayato Vishayan Punsa Sangasteshu Pajayate. If you go on constantly thinking of, giving value and reality to objects of the world, naturally you become entangled, you become attached, psychologically dependent. You lose your freedom. And therefore you desire, of attachment breeds desire objects. And desire is bound to be frustrated. Some desires are fulfilled, some desires are frustrated. When fulfilled, you don't believe it. People become elated. Elation is not a healthy state of mind. In order to bear with that elated experience, people invite others so that drinking will reduce that elated aspect. Elation is agitation. Another form of agitation is when you are frustrated, when anger develops. Instead of elation, your mind is swinging towards depression, dejection, sorrow. If mind becomes accustomed to agitation, that's the predicament of the mind in general, for general humanity. There is always a deluded vision, sammoha. Intellect doesn't see things clearly. It is all colored. It is ego dictated. And as delusion overwhelms your mind, smriti vransha, you don't remember the awareness that you are a ray of God. You have passed through millions of embodiments, and all these embodiments and birth and death have not cut you down. You are eternal. The only relation you have is with God, who is in his boundless love. He has loved you in all conditions. And in him you find that urge to love absolute, with absolute fulfillment of the urge to love. That type of memory is lost. Buddhi nasha, your intellect doesn't work. And that's, you are heading towards a negative experience, negative state, darkness. Reverse it. Bhakti is a reversing process. Instead of depending upon objects of the world, which I have described, the threefold illusions of the world, direct your mind to God within you, God underlying all things. As you begin to enjoy that little touch, you develop nishkama. Instead of the idea, let me hold on to objects, your idea is, let me strengthen my wings. Instead of saying, let me hold on to the tree, it has helped me so much. The idea, let me strengthen my wings and fly. With all humility to the tree. So what happens? Nishkama develops. Instead of kama, desire, desirelessness. Things are coming by themselves. Why should you desire? You open the window and all the sun comes in. You don't have to sit down and go, oh, welcome, welcome, welcome. And then there develops akrodha. The mind is never agitated. Serenity. Your intellect is never deluded. The awareness of yourself becomes clear, a revelation. Your intellect blossoms into intuition. And that is bhakti, devotion. And I've given you a whole plan of bhakti. And I have dealt with only 2 sutras. So that's the meaning of sutra. Thread. Threading together so many ideas. So many things have been said, but as you follow, they will become more clear. Because we are never tired of repeating it. Gada paridhyaya. An insight is given to you is just like putting a stick in the ground and daily giving a little hammer. So until it becomes deeply embedded, the farmers do 2 things. Hammer it, then they shake it. Here we only hammer it. God does the shaking. Om Shanti, Shanti.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of spiritual growth. It's an honor to learn from the wisdom of Swami Jyotirmayananda. As we part for now, remember, the quest does not end. Take time to reflect on today's insights and integrate them into your life. Until next time, stay open, stay curious, stay present. The light within you is always shining.